Alright, let's check this other county and see how close I can get before I get spotted. .2.
1.2 kilometers?
Yep, before he finally picked me up.
Jesus.
So this is the other shipbuilder website, and from what I found, the IR and the EM readings on this website are more in line with what they are in game. It's kind of accurate. The rest of the numbers are fairly close enough. From Urkel's calculator, the IR and the EM that's behind my head now don't actually match what they are in game. These numbers are wrong. But from Urkel's website, when you're looking for a part, the places that you can buy the part are accurate. And on this website, the places where you buy the part in the shop are not accurate. At least from what I've been able to find. So this site's good for getting your IR and your EM readings, and it's got a nifty little calculator here where you can look at, you pick your ship and then you pick the ship that you're trying to figure out. Like if you're fighting, say, an F7 and I'm in the Gladius, this little window tells you that the F7 will pick you up at about 6K with this build. So this is kind of nice for like figuring out your detection range. And this is on a Gladius, just for science, because the Gladius doesn't have a very good cross-section or stealth right off the bat. So if we were to do the Targa shields, which is the highest shields you can buy from the store, stealth components on the power and the coolers, and say we go with like an Atlas, which is a very good civilian. It's like the fastest civilian quant drive. It puts you around 13,000 IR and 7.3 EM. So the best way to get this down, what we want to do is, if you're looking at somebody, you have a 1900 cross section. If you're on the side, you have a 7K cross section. So we're trying to get the IR and the EM to average the cross section so that your stealth is all relative. So in this current build with stealth, everything except quant drive and shields, if we were to go to our radar detection, fighting that F7 Mark II, we'd be detected around 10,000 meters, or 10K. Right? So now, if we change the shields to the stealth A's, that lowers our signature a little bit, but we're still getting picked up around 10K. So the biggest difference is actually going to be the quant drive, which I didn't figure would be the case, because if your quant drive's not on and you're not quanting, then this shouldn't matter, but it does. I don't know why, but it does. So if we were to go with like the stealth grade A quant drive, right, still relatively quick, still okay efficiency, that drops us down to 7K and 5.6, roughly 7.6, 5.6. That changes our detection range from 10K to 6K. So now if we change the shields from the stealths to, let's say, the competitions for the extra shield, right? We got to lose a little bit of power there. So now we're at 8 and 6. Radar detection is 6.6. So we went from stealth shields to the higher tier shields. We get 600 closer, or whatever, 600 further away detection range. So it's kind of a toss-up. You want to save 600 meters on your detection range, or do you want to have, 30% extra shield? And a lot of these numbers are going to be bigger and harder to drop when you get into the bigger size ships. So the Gladius only is size 1 components. But then you move up to, say, the Cuddy Red. Cuddy Red is all size 2 components. and you're looking at much bigger numbers. I was already playing with this one. So this is Trenta competition grade C shields, because you get an extra 21% shield HP. But this is all stealth grade other components. So if you change the stealth grade quantum drive to like a Chimera, which is the most speed and most efficient one, it adds 6k to your EM signature, roughly. So yeah, 6d200 to your EM. So the bigger the components, the harder it's going to be to mask your signature. Again, shields make a minimal difference. So if we're looking at, I can probably hover it since this is a single shield and we can see the difference. If we go from a competition grade C, biggest shield, it adds 1,000 health off the stock. 1,600 IR or 16,000 IR, 8k EM to a stealth shield. Like, it's only dropping our IR by 400 and our EM by 1,000, roughly. But you're losing 2,000 shield health. So in my opinion, stealth shields, if you're really trying to min-max your stealth, sure. But 90% of the scenarios, you're just going to want the extra shield anyway, because the IR and the EM don't make much of a difference between the stealth and the max shield. So your biggest difference is going to be going from a standard civilian, military, or competition or any of that quantum drive to the stealth quanta, because you get the biggest change in that. You lose 6k off your IR just from having a stealth quant. Yes, you're going to move slower, and yes, it's going to not be as efficient and yada yada, but if you're trying to not be noticed, the stealth quant is going to make the biggest difference. And I would have never thought of that until I was fucking around with it, because it just doesn't make sense to me. If you're not in nav mode, you're not prepping your quant drive to jump, then it shouldn't make much of a difference. But I guess it does still have to cool off the components, so I guess it makes sense. So if we'll look at the radar detection again, right? We'll go off the F7 again, since everybody's flying on F7. So with this stealth setup with the regular shield or the competition shields, detection range is 8.3 km. So at 8.3 away from them, they'll spot you just based off your IR. And then if we change this to the competition or the civilian Chimera, that brings us that 6k up. Now we're detecting at 13,000. So biggest difference is in the quant drive. I think I might have just stumbled across some more science.
Knowledge.
So I was under the assumption that, until seeing that Saber with only one power supply and one shield and all that, I was under the assumption that you had to have both power plant slots filled on an aircraft to make it work. Apparently that's not the case. I'm gonna have to test it, but so I'm looking at the Saber. So my current setup with the Saber is 5.4 IR and 5.4 EM.
Mm.
If I take one of my coolers just off, and then take one of my power supplies just off, it drops it from 5.4 on both to 3.5 on both.
Oh.
And I didn't think that would work. Okay, now I have to test it. Because, I mean, if this works, this is going to make a whole lot of difference, I think. It works.
That's...
I'll be damned.
That's nuts.
Take my power off. Yep, as long as I have one cooler functioning, it keeps my IR from climbing. So, actual numbers are fucking exactly on with the SP Viewer website. So my readings in the Sabre are 3.6 IR, 3.7 EM, and 3.8 cross-section.
God damn.
I am the sneak.
Baby.
I pulled it up on the stream so everybody can watch what I'm doing. So if we do all rhinos and galderines for guns. So with just the standard gun setup and everything else stock, it's 26 and 22,000.
Okay.
And we can get it down to 8 and 9,000.
Oh my god.
That's disgusting.
So just for math's sake, if you were fighting an F7A, he wouldn't be able to see you until you were 7,000 meters from him. How fucking terrifying is that?